Hey, how are you? Hope all of you are well. It's your CPA Manish here on Tuesday, the 6th of December. But I guess by the time you get this video, it might be either Thursday or Friday. That will be 8th or 9th of December. Today, we are going to discuss about Roth conversion. A lot of you have been hearing about Roth conversion. You have been reading about Roth conversion. It has gained a lot of momentum and traction and attention in last couple of months because the stock market has been very volatile. The stock market has been going south. So you also have been getting some advices from your advisors, financial advisors, suggesting that talk to your accountant about Roth conversion. This might be a good time for you guys to convert your pension account, convert your IRAs into Roth. So today we are going to exactly try and answer that question, whether Roth conversion is a good option for you. Are you an ideal candidate for Roth conversion? Who must do it? Who must not do it? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages? What you should keep in mind? Does Roth conversion only have effect on your income? Does it also affect your estate planning status? So all these various dimensions we are going to discuss today. And to sort this out, I have brought in my studio one of my very dear friends and very, very trusted professional. His name is Glenn Stephenson. Glenn Stephenson is a CFP. He's a certified financial planner. He's a co-founder of IBEX Wealth Advisors. IBEX Wealth Advisors is a registered investment advisory firm. They manage in north of $750 million for high net worth professional clients. He works for quite a few of my clients. I trust Glenn fully, and we work on some common clients. He has over 35 years of experience in dealing with custom investment portfolios and employing tax smart strategies for all the clients. And he works out of his office, which is located in Bedminster, New Jersey. So, hey, Glenn, how are you?
Good. Thank you for that warm introduction. I appreciate it. Roth IRA conversions. It's a very popular topic this month on the heels of what we don't know yet as future tax rates, and we'll get to that in a bit. But also, anytime investment accounts are down, whether it be bonds or stocks, this has been a very difficult year, a challenging year. So we try to find any good tax strategies surrounding this type of environment. So let me take a step back for a moment and just talk about retirement planning in its general term. You know, as a lot of your clients plan for retirement, they've set up all kinds of accounts, IRAs, 401ks, defined benefit plans, profit sharing plans, 403b. It runs the gambit when you talk about retirement accounts. And all of these accounts are funded with pre-tax dollars. And the idea behind these accounts is you fund them in your peak earning years, it grows tax deferred, and then when you take them out at retirement, you'll be presumably in a lower bracket, and then you'll pay the taxes at that time. And then at age 72, you must take out an exact dollar amount that the IRS prescribes. And if you fail to do that, it's one of the harshest tax penalties at 50%. So that's the essence of retirement planning for the last 40 years, maybe even 50 years since 401ks came about.
Right.
Roth IRAs are a relatively new instrument that came out about 7 years ago, and they allow for people to put in after-tax dollars, and it grows tax-free over their lives. Nobody tells them when to take the money out. It's up to the individual owner, but it's completely, all of that growth is tax-free. So this year, the term Roth conversion has come up because many people that make too much money cannot fund an individual Roth IRA, which is $6,000 plus $1,000 catch-up. That is off the table. But if you have this large pile of pre-tax retirement funds, you can take all or part of it and move it into a Roth IRA through a Roth conversion. but you will have to pay tax on all of that amount. It's treated as ordinary income in the year you do it. But if you have this large retirement account and it's fallen in value because of market performance, and we feel the market will recover, which it has every time in history, wouldn't it be nice if we could get that retracement back to those highs inside of a tax-free account called a Roth IRA? And that is what all the news is about this year, about this conversion. And it's not for everybody. So let me go through the advantages and then the disadvantages, and then we can talk about who might be an ideal person to consider this. So first off, the advantages. Obviously, a Roth IRA grows tax-free forever and ever until you take it. And should you pass away, your children or whoever you name beneficiaries will receive it income tax-free, and the recipient can keep it as a Roth for up to 10 years. And then they must take all the money out of the account. So that's advantage number one that has over traditional retirement planning. The other part, and I think it's one of the most important part, it gives your individual investment plan some balance. Too many times I meet professionals and they've put away all their money into these pre-retirement, pre-tax investment plans, and that's it. There's no after-tax money in any other account. So when they get to retirement, they only have one bucket they pull from, and that is a retirement account, which is all taxes ordinary income. There's no tax-free bonds, there's no dividends coming in, or it's all taxable income from an IRA. And that's at a future tax bracket, which we're not quite certain of what it will be. So being able to do some, all, or none into a Roth allows you to have some balance. So when you get to retirement's doorstep, you have two different buckets to pull from, maybe a third bucket if you have a non-retirement account, that allows you to adjust your cash flows and match up to the best tax impact, rather than just having it all sitting in a bubble tax account like a pure retirement fund.
All right. So just so that I understand, the hype is because I have money sitting in a retirement account. I have a lot of money sitting in retirement account. But if I let the money sit in those retirement accounts, and then I have to withdraw these monies on when I become 59 and a half, or I become 72 years old, in my retirement, when I withdraw these monies, I will have to pay tax. But now these retirement accounts, because the market has fallen, the value of these retirement accounts have fallen so much that instead of paying taxes on this in my retirement, let me convert these today into Roth. And by converting these today into Roth, I'll have to pay taxes today. But then in future, I don't have to pay tax. And this whole hype, this whole interest has been generated because of the fact that my retirement accounts value, which was maybe $1 million before, has now dropped down to, say, just for an example, has been dropped down to, say, 700,000. And I'm confident it's going to go back from 700 to million and 1.2. But let me pay tax today on this 700, convert it into Roth, so that I'm paying tax on a lower amount today, and then let it grow from 700 to 1.2 million after tax. So I don't have to pay tax on a higher amount.
That's
so
correct.
If I'm correct, this whole hype is because the values of the retirement accounts have dropped down so much that people are seeing advantage in paying taxes today on a lower amount, convert it into Roth, and then let it grow tax-free. So you're paying tax on a lower amount and the growth is still there, but that will be tax-free, right? So is what I just defined, does that summarize actually why this has gained so much attraction?
That's a big part of it.
Okay.
A smaller part are actual tax rates.
Oh.
We had a Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017 that brought tax rates lower, and that is set to expire in 2025. And that tax rates that are in effect today are in fact the lowest marginal tax rate since 1913. I know we all hate paying taxes, but this environment is one of the lowest marginal tax rates we've had in a very long time, almost a century. So tax forecasters are saying, you know what? We have a $31 trillion deficit. We feel tax rates have nowhere to go but up. The days of continuing to go down, I think, are behind us. So if we think we're in this world of low tax rates, maybe it's worthwhile to pay those taxes, especially when the account value has fallen. That might be the sweet spot to make that conversion, because 10 years from now or 20 years from now, when your clients take money out of these retirement accounts, they even though they're retired, they may still be paying that tax at a higher rate. Now that's a forecast. It's not a, it's not a crystal ball call, but it's something to at least consider when you try to broaden the dollars you have, to make sure you get to retirement with a little more balanced approach than having everything inside retirement qualified plans.
Understood. So, but then Glenn, can I go and tell all my clients that go ahead and do this? Is it like one size fit all, or are there people who should not consider doing this?
Well, I'll tell you the people who should not consider it. So I would say people beyond the age of 55 will save in maybe 60, who are in their peak earning years, and we're talking the highest tax bracket, and they feel they're going to retire in the next 10 years, and they need to only take out less money to live on than in their peak earning years. So those people really will drop down into the tax brackets from the top maybe to the middle. If they take out, let's say, $300,000 or $400,000, those people should not do a Roth, because they're close enough that they're already going to start withdrawing from an IRA, and we're pretty certain they will be in a lower bracket, even based on the amount they take out. The people that are best ideal candidates for this are the people that have already retired, who are in a low bracket. Maybe they have Social Security, they have some dividends, maybe tax-free interest, but they still have this large retirement account. And all they're taking out of that are the required minimum distributions. So it's a small amount, but it's still keeping them in one of the lower third brackets. Those people, we may have room for $100,000, $200,000, $400,000, $500,000 to take out of these big bubble retirement plans, pay the tax. And really for them, they're doing it as an estate planning maneuver, because they know their children or grandchildren will receive those dollars tax-free. So that is a candidate we're working with every day. And then obviously on the other end of the spectrum are very young people. These are people that have a 401k or left a job and have a 401k left behind. Those people I really want to urge, and these are our children, many of them, is to convert to a Roth now. It's a small account. It's going to grow over the next 30, 40, 50 years. Let's pay the tax on that. Sometimes the child will say, well, Mom, Dad, I don't have the money to pay this tax. Well, if the parent is already gift-minded, thinking about gifting to children and or grandchildren, if they gift those dollars to the child, it will be a gift well spent, because it's going to pay the tax early, but it's going to allow that account to grow considerably. It might be one of the best planning tools you can give a child or a grandchild. So those two candidates, I think, fit the really consider it now. But the people that are already in peak and getting ready for retirement, I think it's a case-by-case analysis, but I'm not so sure it might be the best, because they're just going to pay a lot of tax, when there's a chance they may pay a middle bracket rate, even if it gets a tick higher.
Right. So very well said. So I guess what you're trying to say is, if you are in a higher bracket today, but you anticipate you will be in a lower bracket in retirement, then don't do this. Don't pay higher bracket today on Roth conversion, when you're going to pay lower tax anyways down the line. But if you are that young professional, you just mentioned the second category, where you're a young professional and you are at a lower tax bracket today, maybe, convert the IRA into Roth IRA. On conversion, pay a lower bracket, and in retirement, maybe you will be in a higher bracket. So it depends upon your anticipation. And as you said, it's not one size fits all. It depends upon, if you are higher today and lower in future, don't do it. But if you think you are lower in today, but you are going to be higher in future, then maybe you are a good candidate for this. You also mentioned about gifting, but why gift? Can't they use, when you do Roth conversion, can't they use the money from the conversion to pay taxes?
That's a great point. So I typically recommend, if it's possible, the owner of that retirement plan try to move 100% of those assets over, because it's the only chance you have is to get as much into that tax-free growth account, which means you have to get the tax money somewhere else. Now, for those people that have difficult cash flows and they don't have that extra money, then you're right, you can take it from that account. But if you really want to maximize the benefit of Roth conversion, you should try to pay the taxes from another bucket, an after-tax bucket, and let that full amount have the ability to grow tax-free.
Understood. Understood. Perfect. Anything else that you think, and this is like an introduction, Glenn, I'm sure after this, I'm going to get a lot of questions from my clients specific to this topic, and I'll have to come back to you, and maybe we'll have to do a follow-up video on this. So for today, we are only touching the surface of this topic, and we'll go more deep dive when we get more questions specific to this. But for today, do you have any other pointers that you might want to let our audience know?
Sure. One last point is on estate planning. If you have high net worth clients, and these are clients with taxable estates in excess of $25 million, that exemption is due to drop to roughly 12 million in 2026. And when we talk about ideas, tax strategy ideas to reduce estates affected wherever we can, doing a Roth conversion means you're paying a tax to the IRS, which is subtracted from your estate. So that dollar is out of your estate, and now we've lowered the dollar amount, and your child or your beneficiaries will get that money tax-free. The key to that is if you don't do a Roth conversion for estate tax planning purposes, the entire value of that retirement account is part of the taxable estate. So not only will your children have to pay ordinary income tax on that, it could be subject to a 40% estate tax if your total net worth exceeds the proposed limit, which will be 12 million in 2026. So by able to take some of that money while you're alive and get it out to the IRS, and that lowers your threshold for exemption, that is one tax play if you are in that high net worth category.
Wow, so that's a double advantage. Number one, you lower your estate. Number two, you pay taxes. That's how you lower your estate. But then even your beneficiaries get this tax-free. So they do not have to pay estate taxes. They save on estate and they save on income tax too.
Correct.
And the growth is tax-free.
Correct.
So that's like three advantages. You pay less
very
estate
powerful
tax,
tool.
you pay less income tax. They don't have to pay income tax. And then the growth is tax-free. Wow,
Correct.
that is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Nice, nice. While I was talking to you, I also remembered one particular client of mine, very high income earner, but there was something that happened typically in this year, in 2022, where he and his family, he and his spouse jointly, for this particular year, they are not having such a taxable income. They are actually high earners, but there is something that has happened in their tax life where in this particular year, they do not have income to be reported. So this was a year when they were falling in a very lower bracket, and then we considered Roth conversion, and we converted only so much so that he's not pushed in a highest bracket. So there was around a couple of $100,000 that if we converted, he would not go to the 35 and 35%, 37% bracket. He would still remain around 22, 24% bracket. So we had that margin. So if this is the year or in coming years, if there is a year where your income is going to drop even temporarily, but you are in a lower bracket and you see that in that particular bracket, you still have some margin, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, where you can bring in Roth conversion and not push yourself in a higher bracket, that could be the year when you might want to consider Roth conversion. Not sure if that
age, if they're in their 60s and they think they'll be retiring in a few years,
right,
you'd have to figure out how much they may take out of that IRA and what bracket that would put them in versus the conversion bracket.
Right. Yeah. So case to case.
Right. It is a case by case balance, but I'm happy to inform your clients. We stay busy on this through the end of the year. Obviously, you only have till December 31st to make a conversion in this tax year, and then we'll have next year's tax brackets to consider as well. But obviously, we follow the market as well because that's a kind of a bullet point of making this decision as on value of the account.
Right. Perfect. Listen, Glenn, I always thank you so much on all your advices. So today's one more day where you have come through and I've loved your advices. And When I get follow-up questions from my clients, I'm going to bother you. But
Okay.
thank you so much for taking our time today and giving us a brief about Roth conversion. And looking forward to having you more on the show going forward. And thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And happy holidays to everybody.
Happy holidays to you and to everybody in the family.
Okay. Have a good evening.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye.